There is a quiet power hidden within you that few people ever discover. Most believe that yesterday is fixed, that the past is a prison with locked doors, and that every mistake, every disappointment, every painful conversation has become an unchangeable part of their destiny. They carry memories like heavy chains, believing those memories define tomorrow. But there is another way to see life. There is another law operating behind appearances, a law that reveals that the past is not as permanent as the world has taught you to believe. What matters is not merely what happened, but the meaning you continue to give it. The emotional picture you preserve in consciousness is the seed from which future experiences grow. If you change the seed, you change the harvest. Think about how often you revisit painful memories. Perhaps someone insulted you years ago. Perhaps you failed at something important. Maybe you lost an opportunity, ended a relationship, or made a decision that still haunts you. Although the event itself ended long ago, you continue to relive it. Every time you remember it with the same emotion, you breathe new life into it. You water the old seed again and again until it continues producing the same kind of experiences in different forms. Faces may change, places may change, circumstances may change, but the emotional pattern repeats because consciousness faithfully reproduces what it continuously entertains. The greatest prison is not the memory itself, but your loyalty to it. You believe you must remain faithful to what happened because it was real. Yet the reality that shapes your future is not the event, but your present state of consciousness. Your imagination is forever active, forever creating, forever arranging the circumstances of your life according to what you accept as true. Therefore, if you continue accepting yourself as the one who was rejected, betrayed, embarrassed, or defeated, life faithfully mirrors that identity. But if you dare to revise the story, something extraordinary begins to happen. The outer world gradually reorganizes itself around the new inner conviction. Revision is one of the simplest and yet most profound acts you can perform. It does not require changing history books or convincing other people that events happen differently. It requires only changing your experience of the event within yourself. You return to the memory, not as a helpless victim, but as the author. You rewrite the scene in imagination until it becomes the experience you wish had happened. If someone criticized you, hear words of appreciation instead. If you failed an examination, imagine receiving congratulations. If an argument ended in anger, replay it until both of you leave with understanding and peace. If you felt ignored, imagine being welcomed with warmth and respect. Some will ask, how can imagining a different past change anything? The answer lies in understanding that imagination is not fantasy separated from reality. Imagination is the creative foundation upon which reality is built. Every invention, every achievement, every relationship, every transformation first existed as an unseen image before appearing in the visible world. The imagination is the workshop where tomorrow is silently constructed. When you revise a memory, you are not escaping reality. You are changing the inner pattern from which future reality emerges. Notice how children naturally revise experiences. A child may lose a game and moments later imagine winning it with complete joy. Adults often lose this ability because they become devoted to facts instead of possibilities. They worship appearances while forgetting the invisible power that produced those appearances in the first place. Yet life constantly reminds us that the unseen always precedes the seen. Every building existed first as an idea. Every journey existed first as a decision. Every conversation existed first as a thought. Why should your personal history be different? Many people spend years asking why similar problems keep returning. They attract the same difficult relationships, the same financial struggles, the same disappointments. They believe fate is against them, yet they unknowingly keep repeating the same emotional reactions inside. Consciousness recognizes feeling more than words. You may declare success with your lips while secretly reliving failure in your imagination. You may speak of love while remembering rejection every night. You may pray for abundance while emotionally identifying with lack. The outer world simply echoes your dominant state. Revision interrupts this cycle. It breaks the emotional chain connecting yesterday to tomorrow. It says, I refuse to let one painful moment become the blueprint for the rest of my life. It is not denial. It is creative authority. You are choosing which version of reality deserves your continued attention. Whatever receives your sustained attention receives life. Imagine someone who made a costly business mistake. Every evening he replays the failure, criticizing himself, calling himself foolish, imagining what everyone must think of him. Months later, he hesitates to pursue new opportunities because his identity has become the one who failed. But suppose he begins revising the event every night. Instead of seeing loss, he imagines making the right decision. He imagines shaking hands with satisfied partners. He hears people congratulating him. Most importantly, he feels confident and capable. Gradually, his behavior changes. He notices opportunities he previously ignored. He makes decisions with calmness instead of fear. New circumstances emerge that reflect the revised self-image. Was it magic? It was the natural consequence of changing consciousness. Consider someone carrying regret over words spoken in anger. They replay the argument endlessly, wishing they had remained calm. Each recollection renews guilt. Their heart grows heavier with every remembrance. But one evening they choose revision. They close their eyes and replay the conversation differently. They hear themselves speaking gently. They imagine the other person smiling instead of leaving hurt. They feel forgiveness replacing regret. Night after night they return to this revised scene until peace replaces emotional pain. Soon they notice that not only has the burden lifted, but their future conversations become calmer. The revised inner experience has reshaped the outer pattern. Every night offers an opportunity to rewrite your life. Before sleep, review your day. Where did something go wrong? Where did fear replace confidence? Where did anger replace kindness? Where did doubt replace faith? Do not condemn yourself. Simply revise the scene. Replace harsh words with loving ones. Replace failure with success. Replace anxiety with certainty. Replace disappointment with gratitude. Continue until the new version feels natural. Then fall asleep in that feeling. Sleep is not merely physical rest. It is the doorway through which impressions sink deeply into consciousness. Whatever feeling accompanies you into sleep tends to become the atmosphere of tomorrow. If you enter sleep burdened by resentment, tomorrow inherits that resentment. If you enter sleep filled with confidence and peace, tomorrow reflects those qualities. Therefore, the final conversation of the day should always be with your own imagination. Some people fear revision because they believe it means lying to themselves. They ask whether pretending something different happened is dishonest. Yet consider how often the mind already deceives itself. It exaggerates failures, magnifies criticism, predicts disasters that never occur, and repeats painful memories while ignoring countless blessings. If the mind can distort reality toward fear, why should it not be deliberately directed toward truth, healing, and possibility? Revision is not self-deception. It is choosing the interpretation that serves life rather than suffering. Your emotional reactions are creative acts. The world has taught you that emotions merely respond to events, but emotions also shape events. The feeling you repeatedly occupy becomes your dwelling place. Live long enough in fear, and fearful experiences appear. Live long enough in confidence, and opportunities arise. Live long enough in gratitude, and life finds endless reasons to increase your gratitude. Feeling is not simply a reaction to reality. Feeling is participation in creation. This explains why two people can experience the same event yet create completely different futures. One carries resentment for years while the other revises the memory and moves forward in peace. The difference is not the event, but the state each chooses to occupy afterward. Life responds to the state, not merely the circumstance. You possess an authority greater than any external condition. No person can prevent you from imagining differently. No economy can stop your inner vision. No criticism can silence your imagination unless you permit it. Within you exists a kingdom untouched by appearances, and from that invisible kingdom all visible experiences arise. Protect it, guard it, fill it with noble assumptions. There will be moments when revision feels difficult because the old memory appears so vivid. Do not fight the memory. Simply replace it gently. Every repetition strengthens the new pattern. Just as water slowly shapes stone, persistent imagination reshapes consciousness. What feels artificial today becomes natural tomorrow. What feels impossible today becomes obvious later. The world constantly invites you to identify with limitation. News headlines encourage fear. Past experiences encourage doubt. Other people's opinions encourage insecurity. Yet none of these possess creative power unless accepted within consciousness. You always remain free to choose another state. This freedom is your greatest gift. Do not wait for external evidence before changing your inner world. That reverses the order of creation. Change within first. Feel the peace before circumstances improve. Feel forgiven before hearing apologies. Feel successful before receiving recognition. Feel loved before anyone confirms it. The outer world follows the inner movement, never the other way around. There is incredible mercy hidden within this principle because it means no mistake is final. Every regret becomes material for transformation. Every failure becomes an opportunity to create a new identity. Every painful memory becomes a doorway to greater wisdom. Nothing is wasted unless you insist on preserving it exactly as it was. Many carry guilt over decisions made years ago. They believe they ruined their future through one wrong choice. Yet the creative power within them has never diminished. It waits patiently for a new direction. The moment they revise the emotional meaning of the past, they begin planting different seeds. Soon new relationships appear, unexpected opportunities emerge, and doors once thought permanently closed begin opening in surprising ways. You may never change another person's memory of an event, nor is that necessary. Your task is not controlling their consciousness, but transforming your own. When your state changes, your experience of people changes. They often begin responding differently without understanding why. The invisible shift within produces visible changes without force. Practice revision faithfully. Make it as natural as brushing your teeth or saying good night. Every evening, ask yourself, if today had unfolded perfectly, what would it have looked like? Then experience that version vividly. Hear the sounds, feel the emotions, accept it as your completed experience. Fall asleep there. As weeks become months, you will notice subtle transformations. Situations that once upset you lose their power. Confidence replaces hesitation. Peace replaces anxiety. Coincidences begin multiplying. Doors open unexpectedly. Relationships improve. Your reactions become wiser because your consciousness has changed. You no longer live from old wounds but from revised truth. Understand this deeply. The purpose of revision is not merely to obtain better circumstances. Its greatest purpose is to free you from psychological bondage. A person free from regret is powerful. A person free from resentment is creative. A person who refuses to be defined by yesterday becomes capable of miracles because their imagination is no longer chained to history. Your future is not waiting somewhere ahead of you. It is quietly being formed within you now. Every thought you entertain, every emotion you accept, every scene you repeatedly imagine contributes to the world you will soon call reality. Therefore, choose carefully. Become the gardener of your inner life. Remove weeds of regret. Plant seeds of joy. Water them with faith. Watch patiently as invisible growth becomes visible experience. Tonight, before sleep claims your attention, revisit the moments that troubled you. Rewrite them with love. Rewrite them with confidence. Rewrite them with victory. Do not ask whether it will work. Simply occupy the feeling that it already has. Allow your heart to rest in the certainty that imagination is the birthplace of every transformation. The person who understands revision discovers that life is never truly working against them. Life is faithfully reflecting the images accepted within consciousness. Change the image and the reflection changes. Change the assumption and the experience changes. Change the feeling and destiny itself begins to move in a different direction. The past does not have to remain your master. Regret does not have to become your identity. Yesterday does not possess authority over tomorrow unless you continue granting it permission. The pen that writes your future has always been in your hands. Every imagined scene is another sentence. Every accepted feeling is another paragraph. Every revised memory is another chapter rewritten with wisdom instead of sorrow. Choose then to become the author rather than the victim. Revise what no longer serves you. Bless what once wounded you. See yourself as the one who always rises, always learns, always triumphs. Hold that vision until it feels more real than any memory of defeat. When you do, you will discover that the greatest miracle is not changing the world outside you, but awakening to the creative power that has always lived within you, quietly waiting for you to remember that the story of your life is still being written. And every new page begins in the limitless imagination of your own wonderful consciousness.